people have died. The suspect is in custody after a gunman opened fire on the campus of Florida State University in Tallahassee. The shooting took place just before noon Eastern yesterday at the university's student union. Right now, at least 6 people remain in the hospital, as well as the 20-year-old suspect, who is the son of a local sheriff's deputy. Joining us now, NBC's Marisa Parra from Tallahassee, NBC's Tom Winter here in studio, Jim Cavanaugh, retired ATF special agent in charge and NBC News law enforcement analyst. So, Marisa, what do we know about the victims at this hour?
Well, what I can say is that they have not yet been publicly identified, Jose, but we are learning more details about those who both lost their lives, the 2 people who lost their lives, as well as the 6 that are hospitalized. Aramark Dining Services confirms that one of their employees did lose his life. And then in terms of those that are hospitalized, we did get the update from the hospital that we are expecting 2 of those who are hospitalized to be discharged at some point today, which is promising in terms of their current state. I want to take you to what we're hearing from witnesses on the ground. Of course, we're still working to learn more about those victims, but of course, this campus as a whole, shaken and in grief and mourning, in a state of shock right now, Jose. Take a listen.
I work at the campus gym, so I just clocked into my shift, and I was talking with my bosses, and I get a code white on our walkie-talkie said there's an active threat, but I thought it was just a drill. So then we hear the words active shooter, and I knew then that it wasn't a drill. So we just started yelling at everyone in person over the intercoms to just get into the locker rooms.
So people thought it was like construction at first, but then the shots got more frequent, closer together. We saw a bunch of people running away from the union outside, and people realized, oh, this is a shooting.
And Jose, it wasn't that long ago that we saw students lined up outside of the student union here. I mean, this was part of the crime scene. And as we talked about, classes are canceled today. Students are not attending classes. They're being asked to stay away from these buildings. But we did see students lined up outside the student union because, remember, the people that were inside fled for their lives yesterday, left behind their belongings that they are just now getting a chance to reclaim, of course, only being escorted by authorities in doing so this morning in a controlled manner. But we're just talking about the people who were here yesterday. The entire campus, this entire community impacted by this. I can see it in the faces of the people here walking around in a state of shock, hugging each other. This is something that obviously it's going to take a while for the entire community to recover from. There's a vigil tonight and tomorrow to help them in doing so, Jose.
Marisa Parra, thank you so very much. So authorities know at this hour about the suspect.
Right, so I think they're still trying to comb through some of the information that they have as far as social media history, as far as obviously in this day and age you would expect him to have a cell phone or perhaps a laptop, a tablet, something like that to go through to figure out if there's any way they can try and determine the motive for this. That's something we haven't heard a lot.
Was a student?
This person was a student, 20 years old. ID'd is Phoenix Eichner. His mom's an 18-year veteran of the local sheriff's department, the Leon County Sheriff's Department. That's his stepmom. We should point out that wasn't immediately made clear yesterday. That's his stepmom. So the details on this are still coming in as far as this individual. He has not been charged. Just as we were sitting here wrapping up the commercial break, I double-checked the docket, so we haven't seen anything. I mention that because typically in Florida, within 24 hours after arrest, they would have to put forward some sort of a probable cause affidavit, initial charging statement, and then from there the state's attorney would have the opportunity to bring an indictment and needs to do so within 30 days of that if they're going to continue with charges, which assuredly they will in this case. So he's in the hospital. We just got a statement from the Tallahassee Police Department that he's expected to survive. Everybody that's currently in the hospital is expected to survive. So perhaps there's some medical reasons why we haven't seen any charges yet, that they might be able to try to extend that, or perhaps we're going to get information here in the next couple of minutes that will bring forward the charges. They don't have to be all the charges that they'll eventually bring, but you can imagine some of the types of things that they would bring in the course of this and in the course of the investigation. Motive might help inform them as far as the types of charges they'll bring as well. So from an investigative standpoint, still a lot of work to do. At some point, FDLE, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, they'll work with the state's attorney's office. They have outstanding crime labs and ballistics capabilities, and they'll be able to piece this together, I would imagine, in fairly short order, all things considered.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering, what just these horrible tragedies just keep happening over and over again. And Jim, you know, Tom was talking about the FDLE. There was a lot of Florida Highway Patrol outside the area. Of course, the university police involved, as well as the local police. How do you see all of these different departments, how they coordinated on this response? How much does active shooter training make a difference in incidents like this?
Well, it makes a huge difference, Jose, a huge difference, not only from the agencies coordinating their response and their on-scene command decision-making, which, for example, we saw failed in Uvalde, Texas, but we see also the citizens, the students, the faculty are also engaged in participating in the protection and safety of all.